Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Circle of the World podcast, where we discuss Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. I am one of your hosts, Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, and here are my co-hosts.
I'd like George.
And Harrison, the Adeptus Historical.
We continue our coverage of Red Country, Joe's third standalone and the next First Law entry. And this week, we read through The Dragon's Den. So, let's get started. Boop, ba-da-doop, boop. As usual, folks, you know we got to thank you for your support. We've been
Yes, the people, we love you.
All of you lovely, lovely little listeners, we love you.
Yes, we've been averaging a very good number of weekly listeners, and we appreciate that. We like to see it. We had somebody comment on Spotify a couple of times. It's hilarious. We just want to see more engagement like that, more interaction. Be great. Love it. Continue it. So please continue the engagement, shooting us some comments, some messages. Why don't you guys just hit us up with some of your crackpot theories? Normally that's George's forte, but let's lighten the burden on his shoulders. Why don't want to hear? Go ahead.
I mean, exactly. Here's some good comments from where you could absolutely comment. Just comment on the Spotify episode that you're watching right now. You can literally do that, which some people have started to figure out. Although this guy has been commenting for a long time.
Yeah,
Nikid. Do we have him in the?
What did you just say?
Nikid is his name.
Oh, okay, all right. That's his name, Nikid.
And he says, especially in the last episode when Logan is confronting Werdenal, he says that the way that Pacey delivers the line, "You stole from me," is "You stole them from me, motherfucker," which is incredible. Just an incredible way of defining that character.
It very much is so, and we'll see. We'll see the culmination of that in this chapter read through, folks. As you know, this is a decently long one, not too bad actually, but there's a lot to get into here. So,
hey, one other comment too. This was from 9 hours ago from Jose. He said on the last episode, the Maker's HR guidelines becoming an abandoned secret workforce religion is my new headcanon. It is also George's headcanon.
Hold on. When did that come through? I didn't see that.
You guys are fucking
I
blind.
literally just saw it a few minutes ago as well.
You what?
I literally just saw it when you just saw it then.
I didn't.
When Harrison was reading it out, I was reading it like, oh my god, that's brilliant.
I gotta see this. Hold on. Where is it? Where is the Spotify?
We love you, Jose.
Jose, we love you. Oh, there we go.
It kind of, to be fair, to go on what he did to do with the Shattered Sea, and the way that is all sort of like a apocalypse fantasy sort of thing. I feel like the First Law is sort of the same way. Like, there was this a huge society of all sorts of people and different magical societies, and then they all faded, and what's left is just the HR department of one of them. I think that's absolutely brilliant.
Imagine whoever they think they're worshiping as the Maker is truly just the HR manager from back then, and they just created a statue in his image.
It might even be biased.
Oh my god, it might be biased.
Bias sees it, and he's like fatter than normal in his statues, and he's like, "What the fuck is this?"
And you know what? The HR manager is always like the worst person It's always the one that's flouting the HR rules. Totally a bias move. Oh my god.
You can imagine as well, like, passed down through time, it's sort of like Chinese whispers, right? And Baez walks in and he's just like, "No, I said dagger." Not dragon.
What the hell you guys been building down there?
I said make a knife.
Build a big wagon.
Wagon. Really knife.
Wagon is great.
Oh shit.
All right, you guys might have to trim that down, but that's fucking hilarious.
All right, so we'll move on to our next segment, which is going to be the first part of our chapter read through of Dragon's Den. Okay, and we start this off from the perspective of our girl, Shy. And she's like, when do we go? And so her and them, they're like waiting in the bushes, I guess, outside of an entrance. Can you guys give me some clarity on this? Like, are they already? Go ahead.
I always get the vibe that they're already in the mountain and that they're near a entry point into the actual city itself, or to the settlement. So they're like in the mountain. They found a way in, but they haven't actually gone all the way in. So they're like in a crevice.
You're right. I'm dumb. I'm dumb because it says in the darkness of the tunnel. So stupid, Jeffrey. But basically, but you're right. Okay, so they're waiting for Savian to give them the signal that Casca's men are up in the valley, right? Because it's Lamb, it's Shy, it's Crying Rock, it's who else would there be? Joubert and them, I think. Because Sweet has to bring Sweet is with Casca, and he's bringing them up the valley. So Shy is getting really nervous. It's hard to be patient because she's right here. She's about to get pit and roll back. Hopefully, we'll see. And she kind of is kind of in those moments where some people get nervous. They kind of like can't help but talk, right? And she goes, "What do we do when Savian says go?" And Lamb's like, "Open the gate, hold the gate." And then we find the children. And Shy goes, well, that's starting to look like less and less of a plan. And he goes, well, do the best you can with what there is. And there was not, Lamb didn't say anything in response to that. And so, again,
there's a through line with Joe Abercrombie as well that plans just fall apart, and you just kind of have to go with the spirit of them. Things might not be going the way that we think they would, but what choice do we have?
Right. And Shy looks to Crying Rock at this point, real quick, and she goes, "What's this Ashrank place look like?" And she goes, "It's a city carved from the mountains. The thousands used to be there, but few now, judging from those who are left. Very few, mostly the young and the old, not good fighters. So I guess from the people that they were able to take out, like those scouts and whatnot, she could tell that these aren't the creme de la creme of the dragon people.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know, those fighters left to go fight the Shanka.
Yes.
Harrison, I think you said it was like 300 people or something like that?
300. Yes, sir.
300. So, Joubert, I like how Joubert goes, fear not.
Fear not.
If God is with us, he will be our shield. And Shai goes, if he's against, then Joubert goes, then no shield can protect us. It's like, what the fuck?
Oh, I fucking love Joubert. He's a brilliant.
Oh my god! And
so
then
obviously, if anybody doesn't know, this is a determinism kind of attitude, right?
Right.
So things happen the way they're going to happen, and that's it. You can't do anything to change it.
And
Except that Joubert is a piece of shit.
Very true. And at that moment, before Shai can even like reply or anything, not sweet, Savian, he comes bustling up, and he says that it's time. Casca and his boys are in the valley, and he's like, okay, he's bloody sure. Let's go. Boom. So now they're running into Now they're running into the tunnel. There's like turns and whatnot, and then kind of could see Ashrank, right, blinking into the light, and I guess the light of the volcanic rock, I guess, or the magma, or what have you.
Open basin of the volcano.
Right, and there's a big gate ahead of them, right beyond the daunting drop, and they could see that there's like bridges, stairways, doorways, windows, all this stuff. So they see this gate. They're running towards it. It's a tall archway, and there's a couple dragon people there. They are old, and they're confused and shocked to see them. And he had a horn. One guy had a horn. Is about to give the signal of, hey, we're being invaded. But Joubert's sword kind of split his head. And then the other dragon people at this gate were trying to shut the door. Shy shoots somebody at the top of the archway down with an arrow.
I think we can kind of condense this mostly down to at a usual point in the third act in this point of a book in the fantasy series, this would be where you'd conquer the evil foe, except that the evil foe in this case is just a bunch of old people.
I mean, maybe not in that way, but for sure and maybe it's the vice versa, right? That the the old people are the heroes and they're trying to hold the door closed and they like are slowly losing ground. They're like, we have to hold, keep them out, keep them out.
The old people are child kidnappers, so I don't know.
They are
Not
kidnapped.
all of them.
They are. Boy,
Well, some of them are the kidnapped. Well, all of them are the kidnapped, actually.
well, fuck that. What's wrong with them? That's what's that? What's that when you repeat the abuse that was abused? That was given unto you. It's not
I don't think it's a phrase.
Trauma.
It's trauma. Yeah, it's a trauma response, I guess. And so basically, yeah, they get through the gates. They bust through. Casca's mercenaries get there. Shai doesn't know where Lamb is. And Savian goes, I don't know. He went the other way. But Savian's breathing hard because obviously the man has the lungs of a 90-year-old. Or he's probably got consumption or something. And so
Definitely. That's definitely what's happening.
I'm a touch of the consumption.
and so it's chaos at this point because now they're spilling through, and we can call them the streets of Ashrank. They're busting through doorways, and Shai, runs into like a kid with a sword, doesn't kill him, even though she's feeling the heat, right? When I say the heat, she's feeling that bubbling anger of all, what's going on, like trying to find her siblings, and the place is like a maze. She can't really find. She's yelling out for Pitch. She's yelling out for Ro. She's yelling out for Lamb. And she yells out for Lamb when she hears a roar that comes out of nowhere, and it's a strange echoing roar. It's like, okay. And
Let's try credit here that she's one of the few Joe Abercrombie characters that we have that in the heat of violence, she's not really thinking about doing violence.
Right. She's just trying to find Pit and Ro.
Yeah, she still has that singular task of finding the kids.
You know what Shai has? She has priorities.
Yeah, right. She knows what she's here for, and all she's here is to get them back, and that's all she's here for. Unlike somebody else who is trying to have a grand old time while getting the kids back. And she gets to a part where there's like another open cavern, and there is a black-skinned man stood beside it, staff in hand. That's Werdener, and close beside him, a much smaller figure, thin and pale, shaven-headed. But Shai knew her even so. And she yells out, Ro, but her voice is lost in the clatter of the fighting, the din, right? Of like how
I can't stand it whenever a writer does this. I'm like, oh, they said them, but they couldn't hear them. I'm like, no, why? Please. Why can't they be heard?
Yeah, and so she sees Werdener and Ro from a good distance away. So she is she jumps over a parapet. She is she's running towards that cavern, right? So she has to go through these buildings here and there, and then there was an open space, and a group of dragon people had gathered ahead of her. 3 old dragon people, 3 old men, 2 old women, and a boy, all armed, and none of them looking like they plan to move, even though she screamed, "Get out of her fucking way!" And it was odd, though. It was interesting when they started to back off, and then a flat bolt, just went to the stomach of one of the old men, and like, oh god! And then the others turned and ran, and because the mercenaries are flooding in here as well. And so she looked back towards the archway, by the cavern, and she saw that Werdener had went inside that archway and Ro too, and so she set off running, right? And so now here we switch perspectives from Shai to Temple. And remember, Temple is obviously, he's along with Casca. And Casca, I like how he says this. If Casca had a best, then danger brings it out of him. Which we have seen, right? The Siege of the Casca, right?
He's notorious for it.
Styria,
man is
Ultra
barely
Styria.
even a person at the best of times, and then when he has to survive, he's like, yeah, all right, okay, I need to survive right now.
And he's got no fear, right? Even friendly, he's kind of like, oh, he's keeping an eye out on things. And I like how, as they're walking through, like Costco's literally just like jaunting through, and he's like, bring down that archer, clear those tunnels, kill no children if possible. A deal is a deal. What the fuck?
Jesus Christ!
If possible. Hey, that's exactly what what Western commanders said in Afghanistan.
Oh,
I think that's like what every commander of a battle has said throughout time. Well, maybe not all of them, but
yeah.
the
Spare
not
the
the good
children if you can.
ones. Don't shoot the little ones.
And Temple's, I will say this: Temple is thinking about how danger isn't bringing out the best from him, right? And he's feeling just as much as he did in Dagasta during the siege. He's thinking about that hospital, fumbling with the bandages, passing buckets, just that kind of chaos, right? And that foreboding feeling of your impending doom. And ever since then, honestly, if he's honest, he says ever since Dagasta, he had been in fear ever since. And they get to a point where they see a group of mercenaries are gathered around an ancient man, a real old man, who has a spear and swinging wildly. And it didn't take long for Temple to realize that he was blind. And we know who this is. This is Akarin, Arakan. What's his name? Adeptus. Chop chop, chop chop.
Sorry, I was listening
I
to
think
your.
Arakan is right.
Arakan? I thought it was Akarin. I could be wrong.
I thought it was Akarin as well from the audiobook.
Okay.
Akarin.
And so apparently what these mercenaries, these dicks are doing is like as he's turning, somebody's is poking him in the side with the weapon or in the back. So his robe is already, dark with blood because then he turns around and somebody else stabs him. And what the fuck?
And this chapter is just full of so many things that are just so shameful and horrific. Nothing that disturbs me more than in a film when somebody who is vulnerable or is doing something vulnerable gets killed. Like if you get killed when you're just eating your dinner or you're having a shit or you're just otherwise not able to defend yourself. It just makes me sad. And this whole chapter is like that. This whole action scene, while it's on the surface is like this whole kind of like epic conquering of these people. It's just like kind of miserable and sad and yeah.
We're watching the perspective of the bad guys, right? Like we're seeing full on pillaging, but it's also what we saw in the beginning of the book, right? Like it's kind of coming full circle that here they're doing their thing again. The guys are just doing whatever they want, killing. Koska's pretending like he's in command and control, and he really just doesn't give a fuck, and they're all just doing whatever they want. And
but then again, Joe does mix it with Koska being an absolutely fucking stupid piece of shit, which is always funny.
Yeah. I mean, like at this point, Temple, when they see Akarin getting stabbed like this and basically mocked, which is not good. It's terrible to see.
I mean, this is equal to when Gregor Cantless's crew kidnapped what's his face, Lam and Chai's friend. What was his name? Gully. Yeah, they shot him full of arrows and hanged him. This is exactly what they're doing to the mercenaries are doing to these guys.
Yeah, that's actually.
So it's like it comes full circle.
Yeah.
Violence begets violence.
You're not wrong about that. And Temple mutters like, "Hey, should we stop them?" And then Koska goes, "Yeah, of course, absolutely, friendly." And friendly just grabs Akarin's spear and splits his head in nearly in half with a cleaver. It's like and Temple's like,
I like how that's how he interprets end it, not
right. And then
take this guy away. I'll just kill him.
Yeah, and then Temple goes, "Oh God," and then and then Koska goes, "We have work to do. Find the gold," and that's like his whole thing. And Temple is right here. He's kind of going through like a crisis. Right? He's scratching at himself. He told himself, he promised himself after Averstock that he would never stand by and watch such things again. The same promise he made in Kadir and before in Styria, And here he was standing by, not complaining, not stopping anybody, and just watching. Then he goes, but then he had never been much for keeping promises. And he's been.
See,
Go ahead. Harrison.
you know, like we were talking about, the full circle, right? Like he's right back to where, you know, they were in what would you say?
Averstock.
Yes, Averstock.
Yep.
And he's, you know, he's like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? But he's not doing shit, little bitch.
But what can he do? What can he do? You know, if he stands up to these people, if he really tries to make them stop, they're just going to kill him.
Well, the
Yeah.
thing is that maybe to a point, but just like before, he didn't have to be a part of it. He chose to be here. He knew what they were going to do.
Yeah, I mean, once Casca found him in the bar, right, at the Mayor's Church of Dice, whatever, Temple could have been like, no, I'm not going with you. I'm
He
done.
would have died then as well, then probably.
Why? Why? It's his choice.
Oh,
to
God,
do that.
it's Casca. It's Casca.
But
You know?
you're part of a mercenary. You could just forfeit your whatever. Yeah, I forfeit all my shares and all that stuff. You leave the
Yeah,
army.
but
You
it's
leave
the
the
thing
mercenary
with,
army.
you know, but if he left, everybody else in the company hates him. So if he left Casca's graves, then he's just fair game, isn't he?
Not everybody in the company hates him.
Yeah,
I don't think that's what
They
it,
just-
I don't
they
think
just
that's
look-
what it is
they look
about.
down
They might
upon him.
not hate him outside of, like, say, the top 10. But when he leaves the camp and he's just not under protection anymore,
I
it's
don't-
just fair game.
Yeah, here's the thing. But what's the point? No, I don't think anyone hates him to the point where they would kill him for no reason.
Well, he
Right,
already
they-
left
they-
once. That's
Yeah,
my point. Is
and
that
they
he
look-
knows that he can leave, and he came back, and he knows.
Yeah, but only because he had the opportunity to, I think. You
But
know,
no,
it's
if
exactly
he
the
had-
problem.
But
yeah,
that's the thing. Like, I think before Averstock, he might have left if he hadn't good opportunity to.
right. The point I'm trying to make is that Temple is not standing up. He's not standing his
Yeah,
ground. That's
Again,
what
because he just get murdered.
no, not because he get murdered, just because he's scared. Just because he's just willingly.
Exactly.
But not because he would get murdered, because I don't think he would get murdered.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're saying he's more scared of?
He's just
Yeah.
he's just so used to following
Being a
instead of
coward.
making decisions, standing up for himself. Is
He's
what I'm saying.
Temple has
I
undergone.
don't know. I don't know if that's what I'm getting from this, though. You know, I'm reading these
I mean,
Well,
think
the whole
about it.
the passage here.
But
So
think
in
about
the-
it.
I feel like this is more like he's getting flashbacks right now. Like, you know, over, you know, hurried through the ruins of the lower city in Dagoska.
Right, because he's been
And he's
scared.
having flashbacks to his but then he gets to the point where he's like, shit, I've got to go and do something else.
Yeah, but he's been scared this entire time. He's been living in fear, right? So I
Yeah.
think his willingness to meekly go along is just him being afraid.
I think
and
that
now overcoming the fear. Not it has to do with him being like.
And again, I
there's a
think this
threat of
is
death.
him overcoming something.
Not yet.
I absolutely agree. You know, in the next page or two.
so. Temple has spent his entire life. Because of his fear, he's relinquished control over Dacasca, essentially, and
Yeah.
so he definitely could have left before, as he even says to himself and to Savine and everybody. Safine, sorry. He's like, yeah, I could have. Yeah, you know, like, why didn't Safine was like, why didn't you leave? He's like, because I'm a coward. Like, he knows exactly what he is.
It's just 'cause- yeah.
When he followed Safine into Averstock, he only followed Safine because he was more worried about Safine than he was about anything else.
Exactly right.
Because he was the only person that he would follow.
Yeah, but after 10 years of following this trash-ass company pillaging and raiding all throughout the world. So, I mean, he did it for Safine because he puts certain people above himself, people who he thinks are better than him, you know. That's why he surrounds himself with mercenaries. That way he doesn't, you
Right.
know.
And don't forget that he went with Safine under the assumption that they would actually have an hour.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, he
Right.
definitely wouldn't have done it if he knew what cost.
If
Wow,
he-
I'm giving Temple way too much credit here, aren't I?
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, basically what we're seeing here is actually not this chapter. Temple's having a Logan relapse.
Well,
He's having a
here's the-
full
I-
addict mentality, going back to what was safe and
Right,
comfortable and easy.
I don't know if I would classify as a Logan relapse, but I do understand what I think you're trying to say, Harrison. I think that like it's kind of the crux of Joe's whole thing about people changing, not changing, right? Temple leaves with the promise that he'd never go through anything like Averstock again, et cetera, right? Now he's in a completely different environment, different, new people. So he's changing, quote unquote, for better or for worse, right? And we
Right.
see him change. We take him take an actual legitimate step forward when what's that guy's name that ran into him in Crease? That was like, hey, let's go mine, let's go look for gold. The other mercenary.
Yeah.
Ah,
The guy who got probably murdered up in Beacon.
no, because that happened. The Beacon murders happened way before.
It does help in this chapter though. Throughout Temple's sort of
Right.
dilemma that Koska gets this fantastic monologue here.
Right. I'm not even talking about that real quick. What I am talking about is what I wanted to say was about in response to Harrison's thing about the Logan relapse, is that somebody's efforts to change only will be put to the test when you somehow find yourself in the same environments or surrounded by the people that that exacerbated
Yeah.
or pulled out those behaviors that you want to change.
It's got to be
So
the
as
same
soon,
exact
right?
thing.
So as soon as, so he thought he was doing better. As soon as, but then obviously he ran away when Cantless attacked Shy, and that's more of like a immediate fear response, which is that's really hard to kind of like get over, right?
Yeah,
Like
I don't blame him for
that's a
that one.
split second thing. But then Casca shows up, and when Temple's already feeling low, then he reverts. He doesn't even try to change. Now we could say like maybe it's circumstantial, right? Maybe if Temple was feeling better, if him and Shy were in a positive note, then maybe he wouldn't have gone back to Casca,
But
right?
I
But you
say
never
that's a
know.
point that's a point against him, right? Because if you're truly changing for the better, you don't do
Right,
it for anybody else.
and exactly. So, but I think that's where it's like there's levels to that, right?
Yeah.
And so here, when in this case, what we're seeing with Temple as he's going through and he's losing, he's he keeps saying, oh God, and this is like almost, this is worse than what he saw in Averstock. He's reached a breaking point.
Yeah.
And now he's got to put up or shut up, it seems like, right?
Yep.
And he gets to, he sees people are falling from buildings and everything. And I think it's more getting to the end of the line for Casca. I think because now he's in he's in old age, right? Certain faculties are failing him. His liver spots, his hands are shaking. He talks about how he can't get it up at times, yada yada. He's wasted all the money he had. He's wasted the duchy of Viscerine, right? And he wants there to be something that he can believe in, but he doesn't believe in anything. Right? He's never gonna believe in anything. He doesn't even believe in who he not in who he is. He doesn't even believe what he's saying, and he knows it. He just
No, that's the thing. I think every single line that Koska says in this book is just fake. And we can tell because we've seen his POV.
I don't want to say fake. I think what it is, I think he's completely nihilistic, and he's like begging for
Well,
like.
no, I feel like
meaning.
he could be anywhere else except leading this company in the middle of nowhere. He would be.
No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't.
He would
I
never be
reckon
happy.
he'd be much happier in a villa with infinite money.
Hey, I have a thought. Got two thoughts on this. One,
Hit me.
the temple side of things, right? Be my conscious, blah blah. Where's that from? It's from the same thing that why did he like Monza so much? He said at the end of Best of Cold. Do you boys remember? Why does he like Monza so much? Because Monza, even though I'm not saying he knows she's not perfect, nobody is, right? But he understands her well enough to know that she's trying to be a good person because she genuinely is, even though she tries to hide it from other people and tries not to be. She cares. Why does he like Temple? For the same reason. He's clinging on to Temple because he reminds him that there is hope for humanity, that there is better than him, and that he may be ass, but hey, look at him. He's being a part of this other person's life. He's mentored that person. He's helped that person. That means he's done good in the world because this person is good. So
here's the okay, go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
And that's why I think that that's why he's so like obsessive about being the mentor of those people, because he wants to take credit for it, but not in like a super evil malicious way. It's because he wants to be a part of something good. And he can't see good in humanity except for the few exceptions like Monza and Temple, who are genuinely good people in the soul. I mean, like they want to do good.
Okay, I have thoughts on that, but go to your second thing that you want to talk about.
My second thing with Casca, with him being at the end of his life. Oh fuck! I lost it. I lost my second thought.
Okay, well then I'll just maybe this will spark
Go
your
ahead.
thing.
Yeah.
I see what you mean, right? I really do. But here's the thing. I think there's a big difference here, right? Because he hated Monza and loved her. He loved her when she didn't betray him, right? But then obviously he had that love-hate thing going on ever since she did betray him, right? He agreed to help her because of that. He knows what it's seeing that she is trying to do better, but also kind of is she really trying to do better that much? Not really, but he does say I remember he does say that he loves her because she tries to come off as if she's heartless, but really she has a big heart and she's
Right.
trying to do right. But here's the thing: there's a difference between him and that and Temple, right? Because Monza was a leader, was driving towards something, and Casca was the sidekick. Here, Temple's the sidekick, and he's just using Temple as he goes. Oh, if I at least let Temple pontificate to me or preach to me, then I can at least make I feel I can tell myself that I'm doing what I can in this unjust world, that I'm listening to sermons, that I'm trying to take his lessons into hand. But he's not really. And at the same time, I think, obviously the more time has passed, the more Costco's worldview has become warped in such a negative way.
I would agree with you
We always
until
say that about Costco as well, though, that he tries to kind of live vicariously through people. Like
Yeah.
he just talks to Friendly, and Friendly replies to him in his own way, and he's just like he just reads off it like the way that he wants to. And it's the same with Monza and Temple as well. He reads things off Monza that Monza doesn't necessarily reciprocate, and the same thing with Temple. Like he wants to see the best of himself in Temple, whereas he will never be as good as those people.
I was gonna say, I do remember my follow-up point.
Okay.
And my follow-up point was gonna be to you, George, is that if Costco was in a village, would he be totally fine? Like the infinite money? No, he wouldn't be.
Yeah.
He would absolutely not be. Because if you take it, and it's for anybody, if you take anybody out of the situation and say, oh, they'll be happy in the perfect place and circumstances, no, they won't be because they're not happy with themselves. So
Right.
So many of these people would just be okay if they could play Warhammer.
There's only
maybe. I honestly think to me I think he's at the end of his rope, right? And Casca truly is just straight up nihilistic. Nothing matters. He feels that deeply internally, and his actions speak for itself. You see him, just people are dying, and he's like, "Where's the gold? Where's the gold?" And we know goddamn well, as soon as he gets that gold, what's he gonna do with it? He's just gonna spend it, waste it.
I don't want to get too far into spoiler here, but I will say one thing since we're on the topic right now, and that's the fact that you said Casca, doesn't, that Temple's a subordinate. Yes, I do think there's a difference, other than the fact that Temple and Monza have some similarities. But the only other thing is the fact that Casca doesn't ask Temple to take his place.
To get back to the read through, but also kind of like related to what we were talking about, Temple is saying "Oh God" a lot, right? And Casca goes, "See, if there is a God, why in all these years has he not raised a hand to stop me?" And Joubert goes, "Maybe we are his hand, and his ways are mysterious." And Casca goes, "A whore with a veil is mysterious. God's ways appear to be insane." This is where I truly think he's like really getting nihilistic, because it's almost like getting like the idea, that there's nothing that matters, and that can really fuck with a person, especially at the end of their line, the end of their age, their life, whatever. Anyway, but shit's hitting the fan because like the buildings are on fire, there's rubble all over the place, fighting everywhere. He's thinking about Katia, where Temple's telling Katia back in the siege of the Gospel, that you gotta go. They will be coming because they're also gonna be looking for Katia, and Katia goes, "That's why I must stay," and that sticks with him. And he thinks to himself, "What could he have done then? What could he do now?" Right? And at that moment, he sees movement out of the corner of his eye, and so he sees like a small shape between two of the buildings. And so he says out loud, "Was that a child?" And he just starts walking over there, And at that point, Casca goes, "Why does everyone pout so much over children? They'll turn out just as old as disappointing as the rest of us." Again, nihilistic. And Temple doesn't care. He just keeps going.
I've got a little bit of a speculation there. I think that maybe Casca didn't have much of a childhood.
He talked about it in
think-
Best of Cold. He talked about it.
Yeah, he talked about it, but again, brought into a fighting company fairly early.
No. He was raised as a kid in the streets, and just somehow,
Yeah, in
someone
the street, even in the streets, it's not much of a childhood, is it? When you're fighting for your life every day, just to eat, begging, getting kicked by the guards,
Maybe, I don't know. Me thinks you were
So,
making
what
excuses
I
to
think is that the concept of childhood is a very new concept.
well,
Like
that's
up
the one
until
for
like
sure. Yeah.
up until like the 1850s at least, like the concept of a child is just a small human, a small person,
Still free
and
labor,
they
baby.
might not know anything, but they've still got to work, and they might die, so don't get attached to them.
Yeah. Listen, I hear that, but I mean, look at everybody else that turns out in this story, right? Like how they like. I don't know. We'll get into that. We'll get into that. But so he's Temple. He realizes that he knows he failed Safine. He failed Kadia. He says he failed his wife and his daughter, and he's sworn to always take the easy way. But perhaps this time, we'll see. And he rounds the corner of the building, and he sees a boy standing there, shaven-headed, pale-skinned, red-brown eyebrows, like Shy's. The right age, perhaps? Could it be? Now he sees that this kid has a spear in his hands, a short spear, but with purpose. And Temple Temple goes without hesitating. He goes, "I'm scared. Are you scared?" And he holds out his hands gently, palms up, and he says, "Are you Pit?" And the kid's face has a bit of a shock, and it is. So Temple slowly kneels, and he goes, "Hey, my name is Temple. I'm a friend of Shy's." Another facial twitch. He goes, "A good friend," and and he goes, "and of lambs too. They came to find you, and I came with them." And Pitt says, "They're here?" And he goes, "Yep, they're here. They came for you." And then he tells Pitt tells Temple that his nose is bleeding. He's like, "Yeah, I know. Don't worry about that." And then Pitt just puts down his spear, walks to Temple, and hugs him tightly. And then he tells Pitt, Temple tells Pitt, he goes, "You're safe now. You are safe." And the last line of this part is, "It was hardly the first lie he had ever told."
Oh, you got to
And
ruin it, Joe.
we're
You
gonna
got to ruin it, haven't you?
we're gonna pause right there, and we're gonna move on to our next segment real quick. Uh, Georgie boy, so best meme of the week. That's a you. Take it away.
So this week we have the return of Tabor. Returned.
Again, Tamil return.
Again?
Return.
Tabor pops up
Boy.
every couple of months. He was the goat of first law memes back in the day. I say back in the day when we first started this podcast, he was like making memes every week, wasn't he? Top tier memes. This is back. You've lost your touch, man. Come on, get back in. I'm just kidding. This is probably one of the first Monty Python specific memes that I've seen of the first law, which is brilliant. And it's when in the bit in Life of Brian when he's stuck down in the hole, and everyone's like, "I'm not the Messiah," and he's like, "Only the person denied me the Messiah." And this Logan stuck down in the hole. It's like, "Will you please listen to me? I'm a terrible person." And the readers of the first law are like, "He's a good man."
Oh, it's so accurate.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. I've seen so many people defending Logan. Like he's because he's the protagonist, he must be the good guy. I feel like that's the way a lot of people think.
Hey, since there is a comment on this too, we'll go talk about it. He says Slur48, who's been on who's been featured many times. He says, "I can forgive just about anything if I've got a good bowl of stew in my hands." And then Tamil Boy returns says, "What happens away from the pot stays away from the pot."
Oh, we love to see Tamil War back in action, baby.
Oh, it's absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much.
So we return to the chapter read through of the Dragon's Den, and we return to Shy's perspective. and she's running down the hallway of that archway where she's following Werner and Roe, and she's freaking out because she's right now, as far as she knows, she's by herself. She sees shadows all over the place, dragon people, mercenaries, and then she sees bodies all over the place as well. And she's like whispering Lamb, but she can't see him. She hears sounds all over the place, screams, crashes, weeping, and laughter through the walls. The laughter worst of all. And she's like, Lamb. And so she goes to the end of the hall through the archway, and she looks. She goes to the end of that. I guess you say the tunnel, archway, whatever, and she sees that there's a vast emptiness before her, great rift, an abyss inside the mountain. A ledge ahead was scattered with benches and stuff like that, and then there's a black gulf, and then it's like a bridge that crosses that space, right? That bridge is thin, no more than 2 strides wide, and no handrail. All right, so safety guidelines were not followed here by the makers. HR rules. Hello.
So when she says like, you think they'd have a fucking rail? That's just what every British person says when there's something that's over a meter tall. There's no rail. What's going to stop me falling?
Flat island.
And so we could basically like this bridge is crossing what we imagine to be like a bunch of magma lava down below.
Or at least old caverns, like big old,
Well, but it's lit by fires and everything in a mountain, so it's
Mount Doom. This is Mount Doom.
Yeah, this is Mount Doom. I was literally thinking the same thing. And so she, walks out there. She doesn't get to the bridge yet, but she gets closer, and then she gets close to the bridge, and she does say the part where you said, George, where she goes, "You think they'd have given it a fucking rail?" And so Werner is on the bridge behind the great, like a big ass square shield, and he has a spear, right? And then one mercenary is already dead in front of him. Another one trying to get back to safety, I guess, trying to like back up towards where Shai is. And there's another third one not far from where Shai is on the wide ledge, let's just call it, where he's cranking a flatbow. And so then Werner stabs that one guy with the spear, and then he's back behind his shield, right? And
yeah, he's basically what he does here is it's showing how skilled he is. Obviously, Ro is like running from behind him, like trying to get behind him, and she goes off into this dark tunnel, and Werdenor is obviously protecting her, and Shai screams out like "Ro!" like trying to get her attention, but she just kind of disappears into the darkness.
Right.
And Werdenor, there's still the guy, there's still another mercenary. He's like, "Yeah, take this, you dragon, you little fucker." He cranks up another flatbow bolt and fires at him. It just bounces off the shield. Now, I'll have you know, that shield is probably made of some hardcore metal, because a flatbow bolt does not just bounce off a shield in this universe. Small detail, but I thought that was kind of cool. They don't talk about what the shield's made of or anything like that, but obviously it's a dragon person's shield because it's big and metal. Yeah, I think it reminds me of like the 300 spear, like the 300 movie shields that were like made of like the iron and stuff.
Actually, you know what this reminds me of? The way this shield reminds me of how it's described and how he's using it to basically block off the bridge. It reminds me of the Legionnaire the shields.
Yes, but made of metal or something.
Right. I'm saying, but
the
metal.
The Legionnaire shields are wood.
Right, but okay, but the shape.
Whereas, but then again, all shields are wood. Like the ones in 300 obviously are fictional, but the real Spartan shields are wood as well.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's cool because it's made out of metal.
Or they can have
what I really like to think is that the maker just discovered aluminium.
A what?
Aluminium. Sorry, aluminum.
Aluminum. Thank you, George. You say it American. Appreciate that.
Get fucked. We discovered it. It's called aluminium. Fuck yourself.
Look at the guy. Doesn't make sense. Aluminium.
It's two different spellings, brother.
The point is that it's
we spell it differently. Yeah,
it's treated like a light shield. Like he uses it really nimbly, but it's also blocking flatbow bolts like it's nothing. Right. So it explains why they haven't been able to get past with like even shooting at him.
Right, and here's the thing: it can't be light. It's a bit, like you said, it's metal. That's what I'm thinking. Like the shape of it, it's very much like that Roman Legionnaire, like a rectangular. They say it's square, but I'm thinking
wood.
more
We know it's not
We
made of
get
wood.
it.
We're saying
We
it's made
get
of
it.
metal.
We
It's
get
just
it.
the
It's
shape.
made
The
of
shape,
metal.
George.
Mm.
The
The
shape.
shape. God damn it. Jesus Christ. And that's why nobody could get past it because it's only 2 strides wide in terms of the bridge, and Shy can't get past it because if it was light, somebody could just brush it aside, or at least try to. Now,
And then the guy who's cranking the flat after he shoots it,
he gets fucking,
he
gets
fucking weird and throws the spear all the way
Weird.
across the hall and just nails
it's,
him.
it's not. But here's the thing: Werdener is not as far as you might think. Reading
That's true.
this,
He's not.
like
I reckon this bridge is probably like 2 meters or 3 meters. Like it's not huge distance, but it is a big distance if you're going to cross it on a narrow bridge.
well, they say it's a great yawn, so I imagine maybe like 100 feet away or
It's
something.
like the bridge of Casa Doom.
Something like that, I imagine.
Yeah.
But
I don't think anybody would be able to throw a spear 100 meters.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't think
Accurately.
Werderner's not as far down that bridge as you might think.
Yeah, that's
He's
true.
closer.
Right, okay.
Because think about it, he would want to be near the mouth of the bridge, right, to use that shield effectively. I think.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but that's my thinking. But yeah, if he's like super far, then what the hell? How the fuck would he launch that spear so fast, so far, so fast? Anyway, Mercenary gets got. He's fucked, and Shy is very she's angry because she's like so close but yet so far away because there's no way around this guy. She was just about to she goes fuck this. She was just about to start taking a step towards Werdener and just go for it when she feels a gentle touch on her shoulder. And she looks and Lamb was at her back. But no kind of reassurance. He lost his coat and stood in his leather vest all scar and twisted sinew, and his sword broken off halfway, splintered blade slathered in blood to his elbow. And she whispers, Lamb, and he doesn't even look at her. He just brushes her away with the back of his arm, and his black eyes with the fiery glimmer and fix across that bridge, neck muscles starting, head hanging on one side, pale skin all sweat beaded, blood dotted, his bare teeth shining in a skull grin. Oh, folks, we have seen this before. I am so can you like the fact that this was Logan / Lamb that had the presence of mind to kind of just like, hey, just get the fuck out of my way real quick because everything else screams, oh, this is the
It's got
blood
to have the hero's entrance, right?
Huh?
It's got to have the hero's entrance.
Villains entrance.
Right, but I'm just saying, like that head hanging to the side and everything, like holy shit. He's like, that's the bloody 9, but somehow Logan was like enough to like, just please, just get the fuck out of my way, please. I can't protect you. and then I like this. Goes Shy shrank out of his way, like death itself had come tapping at his shoulder. Maybe it had. Oh Jesus Christ! And so then Werdener drew a sword, right? And he obviously it's a long and straight and dull sword, a silver mark glinting near the hilt. This is the first time we see one of these, and Lamb says, "I used to have one of those." And I like how he tossed his own blade into the the space or the gulf, right? The chasm. And Werdener says, the work of the maker himself. You should have kept it. Lamb goes, a friend of mine stole it, talking about Dow, obviously, and everything else, and it was better than he deserved. And Lamb had grabbed an iron bar that laid against an anvil, and it was as tall as Shy. And he starts walking towards the bridge, dragging the iron bar behind him. And he's just...
I just got to say here, I like the fact that Logan is sort of relishing in his defeats in a sense that he's sort of like, look at all that I've been through, and I'm still here.
Yeah,
This
but
it's like a very spiteful.
Yeah, but it's like, yes, it is spiteful, but it's also like spiteful towards like everything that's happened, like to the people that have like, I guess, done these things to him. But also he knows like it's like self-hatred here too,
Mm.
Yeah, I would say too. Like, yes, this is interesting. He's got all the bloody 9 like looks and everything, but he's speaking normally. He's pushed Shy out of the way. He has this little conversation back and forth. Like he's very coherent. So it's the thing. I think it's interesting to point out that like it's not like he's lost his mind right
Not
now.
yet. Not yet. No, it's like he's like fully just like embodying everything as cognizantly and consciously as he can, right? And so like he walks towards Werdener on the bridge and he says, "Told you I'd be back." And Werdener says, "So you are." And Lamb gets closer and he just he nudges the corpse that's already on the bridge off and he goes, "Told you I bring death with me. And so you have. You must be pleased." Lamb says, "I'll be pleased when you get out of my way." And he's like basically a couple strides away from Werdener. And Werdener goes, "Do you think the right is with you?" Lamb goes, "Who cares about right?" And then he fucking
Fuck.
who gives a fuck?
Dun, 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 dun.
And this man swings that iron bar, brings it down onto his shield that made Shy wince, and it fucking left a great dent. And one corner bent right back, peeled his wig back blue, if anyone gets that reference. But and so Werner is like scrambling backwards, like holy fuck. And then Lamb is swinging at him again, and this time these guys like this is the way it's written. These guys are clearly skilled fighters, right?
Yeah.
Werner is ready, angled the shield so that the bar glanced clear, swung back. Lamb jerks away snake quick, and then the sword had missed him by a feather, and then Lamb jerked forward snake quick, right, and caught Werner under the jaw, sent him tottering, spitting blood. So they're kind of they're almost evenly matched. I don't want to say evenly matched, but you could just tell these are very, very skilled fighters. And
well, they're moving. He's the old man, and they're moving too fast for Shy to like take a shot. She tries to pull out her bow to try to like help, and like she can't make a shot because they're moving too fast, too back and forth. It's Werner as well. Werner has his shield, which is creating a big old buffer for him, and Logan is. Finished. I said Logan is old.
Oh yeah, he's old, but so is Werner. If you think about it,
that's true.
Yeah. And then so we have this part where Werner sees the next blow coming. He gets out of the way, and then it leaves with Lamb hitting basically the bridge. It leaves Lamb off balance, and then Werner swings, and then Lamb jerks his head away, and the sword just left a red line down his face, so it just missed him. And then at that moment, Werner had brought his sword back to thrust, and I like how this part is written where Shy might not have been much at waiting, but when the moment came, she always had a talent for just diving in, and she didn't even think about shooting. Her arrow just flitted through the darkness, glanced the edge of the shield, and into Werner's sword arm. So, bam, got him. He grunted.
I like how that's settled on too, because maybe, and then not to take credit away from Shy, but one of the things that Logan always says is, if you have your moment, don't hesitate.
Yeah.
And I like that. I feel like that's maybe not exactly what she's thinking, like, oh, just like what Lamb told me, like in most stories, but that subtlety is there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then at this point, Lamb, he takes advantage. He bellows like a mad bull, and he's swinging that metal as if it was no heavier than a willow switch. So he's knocking Werner this way and that way, Kofi smacking him, bing, bang, boom, bam, bam, like at least with the shield, right? And he's getting him across the bridge, and at the point he's hitting him so frequently that Werner doesn't even have a chance to hit back, even if he didn't have Shy's arrow through his arm. And so one last swing toward the shield from his arm, and Werner stumbled against the wall, sword clattering away from his hand. Basically, he's unarmed, and Lamb is right on his ass. He's walking right up to him, and then a shape comes flying from the shadows in the archway.
It's Arya Stark from Game of Thrones. She's come to stop the big bad guy.
First of all, don't you ever reference that again.
No, that's not to be mentioned.
We don't talk about the last 4 seasons of that trash ass show.
No, that show never existed.
Last 4 seasons? Come on, guys. Some of the show was good. Jesus Christ.
Up to season 4 is great.
Up to season 4
the last 4 is shit.
The last 4 are shit. Thank you, George.
You guys hated season 5 and 6. You thought they were the worst pieces. They're worse than most TV out there, huh?
I say 5 and 6 are 50-50. 5 and 6 are 50-50. There are good moments.
I'll give 5.
We'll talk about the
another thing. That's a YouTube video.
Listeners, would you like to hear us talk about Game of Thrones?
First of all, A Song of Ice and Fire.
Anyways, back to it.
All right, back to it. A shape came flying from the shadows in the archway, the flash of a knife as it sprang on Lamb, and he staggered back towards the brink, wrestled with it, flung it off and into the wall. A shaven-headed girl crumpled against the floor. Changed, so changed, but Shy knew her. We know who that was. And so Shy just, now she's running across the bridge. Fuck it. She throws away her bow and she's running and running and running. And she's, because, obviously Ro is crashed against the wall that's near Waderner. And so Shy is running. Lamb, on the other hand, Lamb plucks the knife out of his shoulder and flicks it away. And his face is still locked in that red smile, seeing nothing, caring for nothing. Not the man who sat beside her on that wagon so many swaying miles, or patiently plowed the field, or sang to the children, or warned her to be realistic. Another man, if he was a man at all. The one who murdered those two bandits in Averstock, who hacked Sangeed's head off on the plains, who killed Glamour Golden with his hands in the circle. Death's best friend indeed.
The bloody knife! The bloody knife! I like too that she finally recognizes this. Like, this is such a it's like,
But
she
it's
doesn't
such,
really-
yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
yeah, she, like this whole time she's been like, oh, I don't know, he's he's still a good guy, and like, she back and forth on and back and forth, but here she realizes, she recognizes what he was, what he can be, and then she goes, but also here's this fucking killer, and
it's such like an ice cold shock, right?
Yeah.
Like that sudden realization where it's like, holy fuck, this man, like what is this person, right?
yeah.
Oh man. And so Lamb, he arches back with that iron bar, and Shy is screaming because he's about to swing, and she's like, no, and because at this point she sees that he had no more mercy in him now than the winter. And so all the miles that they'd come, all the ground that they crossed, and just these few paces were left too many, and Lamb swung the bar down. Waderner had dove on top of Ro, and the metal caught his big forearm and snapped it like a twig, crashed onto his shoulder, and opened a great big gash on his head and knocked him senseless. Lamb raises the bar again, screaming froth on his twisted lips, and this time Shy caught hold of the bar. She got there, and as she jumped off the bridge, and she whooped as she was jerked into the air. The wind rushed, the cavern flipped over, and she crashed upside down into stone. And then all was quiet, just a faint ringing, shuffling boots. And she's trying to tell herself, get up, Shy. You can't just lie around all day. Things need doing on a farm. So she's knocked loopy. And so she can't even really breathe. She pushes against the wall or whatever she thinks is the wall, the floor, the ceiling, and the world's spinning. And then she realizes she's on her back, one arm dangling over the edge of the drop. She is right there on the edge of the brink, and she goes, ha, 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 ha. And so she rolls the other way.
I love the specific phrase "managed to find her knees" as well, because if you've ever been catalytic, just absolutely catatonic, just stumbling around, and you manage to just stand up, and you're like, oh,
Done it.
it's a miracle.
You're like a toddler,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're right about that, George. You really are. And she hears shouting voices and everything, and something knocked against her. She almost fell again, and she looks and she sees that it's a group of men wrestling, and Lamb was in the middle of it. His face was wild as an animal's, bloody, right? Obviously from a long cut against it, squealing and gurgling sounds that weren't even halfway to swearing. Friendly was behind him, one arm around his neck, sweat from his forehead with the effort, but his face was just faintly frowning, like he was teasing out a troubling sum, like he's trying to do like a little bit of a complicated problem, because that's just Friendly's fucking face. But he's sweating. And then Sweet's here, and he's trying to keep a grip on Lamb's left arm, getting dragged about like a man who roped a crazy horse. And Fabian is there, and he had Lamb's right arm, and he's yelling, stop, you mad fucker.
Actually, he was croaking. He was like, stop, you motherfucker. He took a whiff of his cigarette before he. Grab him. He's holding on with one arm. You're like, Lamb, stop it.
He's coughing up his consumption blood. Apparently, Shy sees that he has a knife drawn, and she didn't think that she could stop him using it, and she didn't even know if she wanted to. Ooh. And Lamb had tried to kill Ro. All they gone through to find her, and he tried to kill her. He would have killed Shy too, whatever he promised her mother. He would have killed all of them. She couldn't make sense of it, didn't want to. And then Lamb went rigid, near dragging Sweet off the edge of the cliff, the whites of his eyes showing under flickering lids. And he sagged, gasped, whimpering, put his hand over his face, all the fight out. And Savvy is patting Lamb on the chest. His drawn knife is still behind his back. And he's like, easy, boy, easy boy.
Sun's getting real low.
The sun's getting real low, big guy.
Then he kisses him.
And so she gets up and she walks towards the archway because she doesn't see Werden or Ro anymore. And she's following the blood, and she leaves them behind. And she's limping. She does grab her sword. She remembers that. And so she gets through the tunnel, and then finally she gets through where there's an opening. And it got to a point where she fell down because she stumbled and propped herself up on her elbows and was just like, fuck. They were called dragon people, that much she knew, but she never guessed they actually had a dragon. Like, what? Now, when you're first reading this for the first time readers, if you are, at this point you might be like, what the fuck? Where was this dragon when the mercenaries came a knocking?
I like how she's.
They are literally called dragon people. Might be a giveaway.
Harrison, what were you gonna say?
I like how Shy's is like, fuck.
Mhm.
Fuck. She's like,
So-
yo, this shit's crazy. This dragon she's hard to say its size, but it's obviously substantial enough size. It's in this huge cavern, and it's a good size, you know, like you don't want she doesn't have anything to compare it to, because think about her upbringing. The biggest thing she's seen is a big old building. It's bigger than a building, obviously, because she doesn't know how big it is.
Right.
And she is like, and it's covered in all these jewels and like intricate, you know, it's like this beautiful, horrible, terrifying mechanical monstrosity.
Yeah.
It's described very, very well.
It's a metal dragon, thousand metal scales, and like as Harrison said, it's hard to judge the size, but she says that its tapered head might have been as long as a man was tall. So like maybe 6 feet? Its teeth were dagger blades, no claws, but it had a lot of legs, and it ended in a hand with golden rings upon the metal fingers.
This is more of a Chinese kind of traditional dragon than.
Yeah.
It's more of a serpentine with extra legs, you know.
Yeah.
And here's what's interesting. It says beneath its folded paper wings.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
And
like-
there's steam coming out of its fucking nostrils.
Right.
This actually could be a genuine working machine.
Yeah. And when I think when it says folded paper wings, I think it's like the closest thing that
Well,
Shy
that's
can use to
yeah.
describe as like how a bat's wing looks or
Yeah,
something. Like
yeah.
that, right?
But the point is, it's not metal. It's fabric. It's meant to fly.
Like early flying machines, like Leonardo da Vinci's early flying machines, they're made with their linen,
Yeah.
Right.
But
which
the
looks
point-
a lot like paper.
Yeah, the point is it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be able to fly. That's very clear. Like there would be no reason not to have linen wings unless it couldn't fly, or at least that's the plan.
Right. And the dragon, the classic trope, you could say, it's laying on a bed of money, a hill of money, of ancient gold, silver, plate, chains,
You might
Chalice.
say.
chalices, coins, coronets, gilded arms, armor, gem encrusted everything, silver standard of some long lost legion, a throne of rare woods adorned with gold leaf, priceless treasures rendered to gaudy trash by sheer quantity.
I think that they were keeping the throne for Canadians to come back and sit on it.
Maybe.
Just waiting for him, you know. He's like Jesus.
Yeah,
to these
maybe.
people.
And then she sees she's actually looking down the ground. She sees the trail of blood. She sees Werner laying besides the dragon's leg, one of the dragon's leg, and Ro is beside him staring. And so Shy struggles up and she goes down there. Right. She sees a lot of things. Go ahead.
I she basically, I want this next little section where she's looking at Werdenor, and she's like, Rose holding on to Werdenor and like not letting go, and she's like, Ro, it's me, and like she's like not responding, and then Werdenor just like sadly looks up and he's like, we only wanted what was best for them. He genuinely believes that. But then right afterwards, before they even get a moment to like have, because you know how Joe is, he's like, is that going to be a sweet sad moment? Well, guess what? It's cut short. Fuck you. And because Nikoma Casa comes in and like Shay, he goes, fuck. and then Werdenor, interestingly, he says it's a machine. Yeah, sorry. He says it's the most sacred of the master's works, a thing of wonder, of power, of, and then Casca just cuts him off. Says, doubtless, how great sum do you think, Friendly? And then Friendly goes, very great. Shall I count it?
I will say, I think he's talking about all the gold, not just about the dragon.
That's the point, though, isn't it? Is Werdenor was like, yes, it's the dragon, and then Casca and Friendly are both like, money. Let's fucking go. And Werdenor was like, listen, like we're super close to waking him, so close. The work of the centuries, this year, perhaps next. You cannot imagine its power. We could share it between us. That's crazy that he would say that. That's how desperate he is.
See, here's the thing. He's desperate, and this is why I will always say, fuck Werdener. I don't care what you think he says in his mind, right? Oh, my God, he's trying the best. I don't care. I don't care. Because he's out here, never met this guy, Casca. And when you first meet Casca, everybody, I don't give a shit. Everybody, when you first meet Casca, you already get a very immediate, easy read on who and what Casca is. And he's like, listen, buddy, me and you.
If you exist in the real world with other people, not with like the dragon people that just have their own society.
Well, that's their fault. That's their fault.
To Werdener, Casca is just like any other guy.
We'll see. Anyway. As Harrison was saying, he goes, yeah, we can share it between us. And Casca's like, I'm no good at sharing, though. Sorry.
I don't want to do the whole Casca monologue, but basically Casca does in this long form way. Yeah, this thing is pretty cool, actually, but it doesn't stand a chance against progress, society. Ooh.
Oh,
this is pretty worthless compared to that.
I'm gonna do like at least that part of the monologue where it talks about that. I'll just get to that part though. And he goes, look, yeah, it's a curiosity, a relic, but doesn't compare it to like what's coming. It does not come. Things like this are worthless as a cow against a swarm of ants. There's not going to be a place for this in this coming world, right? To come for the magical, for the mysterious, for the strange. This is gone now because they're coming for your sacred places and they're going to build tailor shops, lawyers' offices, bland copies everywhere else. He wishes he were not so, but it is so. You know,
I love capitalism.
I feel this is so
it's
interesting.
Not capitalism, it's progress. Go ahead, George.
It sort of evokes sort of mysticism around cultures that have been subjugated. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, there was this whole mysticism in the West before it was conquered. But in the end, it's just kind of, I don't know, it's weird, isn't it?
I honestly think it's the modernism at play.
Yeah.
I think.
I would agree with you. We actually had more magic in our world, but like our stuff is so limited and like so hard to tell and see and all that. Whereas here it's like a physical thing. But I know what you mean, George. It's like fantastical, but really isn't, and that kind of idea. But like, I think it doesn't make as much sense here. I think his more point is on the fact that, like the world isn't magical anymore because we made it so.
But again, for the dragon people, I also feel like they're sort of grasping at something, and they just can't quite get it, and it's almost there. And I feel like a lot of people can relate to
'cause
that.
it's just out of your reach. Just out of your
It's
reach.
just
And
if we could just do this, then we'd be done.
everything will be okay. Everything will be
It'd
okay.
be okay. Everything would be solved.
Yeah. But Casca calls it, he basically says it's a lost cause and he tires of him. And he says that the time of men like him is passing, the time of men like Werdener, so long past it might as well have never been. Which is ouchies. And then Werdener, he's trying to still bargain. And he says, "You don't understand what I'm offering." But Casca goes, "Oh, but I do. You might be surprised, but I've been made many outlandish offers. Fortunes, places of honor, trading rights, entire city once. Come to realize a painful realization because he enjoys a fantastic dream just as much as the next man. But that one mark is worth a great deal more than 1,000 promises." And Werdener, as sad as he is, right, he just drops his arms and everything. And he says, "I tried to do what was best." This is kind of like what he basically says when after he tells Ro to go to Shy earlier, where he goes, we only wanted what was best for them. And then Casca, he goes, "Yeah, of course, of course." Gives him like a reassuring nod. "Yeah, yeah. Believe it or not, so do we all." And then he goes, "Friendly?" And Friendly just leaned down and
He
split.
does what Friendly does.
Yeah, he leaned
Splitting
down.
heads.
Yes, he just split Werdener's head with his cleaver. Good lord. And then Ro obviously is not happy about this, and Shy could barely hold on to her. And then Casca is annoyed at this, and he goes, like it might be best if you like removed her. This really is no place for a child." End of that chapter read through. Boys, how do you rate it?
I gonna give it a 9.
Yeah. Yeah, right? I mean, I don't
I
think you
mean, this is a climax chapter. I mean, there's something else that happens, but this is a climax chapter, no doubt.
Something else that
It is
happens.
it is epic and it is tragic, mostly tragic, and it's got some fight scenes. It's got a little bit of comedy. It's got the villain, right? Casca's full on like evil villain coming into Ancient Place, destroying. You have Logan, who's a full on evil villain, murdering everybody. We have in the midst of it, we actually have some really sweet moments though too, like with Temple saving Pitt, and like in such the most like in one of the most cathartic character ways that are so consistent with a character like Temple, was just like, I'm scared, are you scared? And like Temple used to have a daughter too, like I that moment is so cathartic. He saved one person, and honestly, in that boy Pitt, he also saved Temple, and like that little moment is so good. I love that moment so much, and how Pitt is just like family, familiarity, and that Pitt with the whole time. It's just so tragic. And to your point about where to know her and all that kidnapping and all that, you have one case where it's with Ro, where she chose to stay and chose to be with them, and you have Pitt, who would who despite being younger, obviously remembered and was in pain about it the whole time he was away, and that's so sad. But and then obviously the dragon is crazy as fuck, and Where to Nor pleading. But other than Casca monologuing a little too much in this chapter, which I know is kind of the point, he went full like villain, like Disney villain, like yeah, blah 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 blah. I'm like, dude, I fucking get it. Shut the fuck up.
Savages, barely even human.
Yes, that's what he's like. He's like, gold. Other than that, yeah, amazing chapter, crazy shit.
All right, so I agree with everything you just said. Absolutely wonderful. But I think the main standout for me is this moment when Logan and Weddle meet on the bridge. And like in any other fantasy story, this would be where these two ideologies meet and it's good versus evil. And this is the final battle to the end. And in this book, it's just two old men that are fighting for something that they don't really, well, one of them believes in it and the other one doesn't, but at the end of the day it doesn't really matter that much.
What's your score?
And I think that's so good. I'm going to give it a 9 as well. Obviously,
Okay.
I just think that's it's a good statement from Joe.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is a fantastic chapter. So obviously a 9 out of 9 fingers for me as well, as you know. So this is a trifecta. I mean, had very fleeting bits of humor, but really it's like a fucking tragic / horrifying chapter. And like I've talked about like the nihilism of Casca and Temple. Hold on, Temple. We might see something here because he says fuck it, and he found Pitt, and he separated from Casca because we didn't see him with Casca when Casca got to the dragon. So we wonder what Temple's up to at this point. Obviously, Lamb practically went nearly full bloody 9, if not, and almost killed everybody in the 1 mile radius. But luckily, was able to kind of snap out of it briefly for a little bit. So yeah, this chapter is a great one. Gotta love it. And now we'll move on to our character spot, and it's our last segment, boys. Who else could we spotlight? But
Where the nerd?
and the rest of the dragon people.
I like how Wedanor is like this exception. Like they talk about how all these people were taken from ghosts and some Northmen and probably the odd settler from Netherland. But Wedanor is obviously Cantic. So that's interesting to me because he's the only, as far as we know, he's the only Cantic dragon person, which makes sense because how did they get a Cantic? I guess whenever a Cantic person traveled all the way up north with their family, or not to the north, but to the far country, and
well,
settled.
we don't really know like the ethnic diversity of the old empire.
I mean, to a degree, but like we know that black people come from Kanta, and where to know?
I don't know about
Also,
solely.
I don't know. Like the old empire stretches as far south as it has a border with Cancer. So
I know, but even that's my point though, is that even still, that's really fucking far. I'm not saying it.
It is really far. Yeah, no, it's absolutely very far.
It's not about the rate. The point is that it's a far distance, and he's the only person that we see of that ethnicity that is up there. And I just think that's an interesting thing because he's also the only person he's the person who's leading them forward. He's the only person. He's unique in the way not only like it symbolizes that he is one of a kind among his own people, and that's he's passionate and fiery and he's driven. And he fucking fails. And I mean, I know Jeff, you don't like him, but I like him for the fact that he does do everything he can to think he's doing what's right. He just really doesn't do the right thing.
Nope.
And they have completely different morals and ethics to everybody else on the planet and in our world.
Absolutely. I mean, Wedanor absolutely believes he's doing the right thing. He's been raised in this environment.
Yeah.
And he absolutely 100% believes that what he's doing is the right thing for even the kids that get kidnapped,
He's in. No, fuck him. I'm glad they're all
No,
dead.
it doesn't mean he's a good person.
Think about
he's
it.
like he's like Logan.
You know what he could have done with that money? With that money that he has, could have set it up in Greece. Could have set it up anywhere. With that money, could set up at multiple places.
He could have gone to Vegas, baby.
No. Let me say. They could have set up orphanages, taken off kids, stray kids that didn't have homes, and then just funneled them to Ashrank if that's what they cared about doing. But no, he paid shitty people to do shitty things like kidnapping kids and murdering those who lived like families, parents.
Jeffrey, where is the nearest
Maybe if you'd have given the timeline a little bit more time,
you didn't hear what I said. I said with the money they had, they could have set it up. They could have just created a front.
Yeah, but these things take time,
Okay, and they've been around for
So what I'm
100
saying
years. So start soon, baby.
Yeah, but Greece hasn't been there for hundreds of years.
Okay, well, they have all that
gentlemen,
money.
semantics.
My point
is that Go on.
Shitty people, fuck them. They're the literal like kidnapping. I don't have to say child kidnappers. That's the word. Kidnappers. They napped kids. They kidnapped kids. Fuck them.
Yeah, absolutely. But then
Fuck 'em.
again, the kids probably do have an
Oh,
objectively
suck
better
my dick.
life.
No, suck my
living
dick.
there.
No. No. Don't even get me started on
No,
that. You don't get to assume that. You don't get to assume that. Fuck them.
I'm not assuming anything, but I
I'm
don't know.
saying there's no defense here. Fuck them. Hope you rot in hell, Werdener. You, your blind ass bitch ass Akarin, your Shabacha. Nobody can keep track of your fucking name. Udo, Scariel. Fuck y'all. Y'all dead.
Hey,
Fuck you.
Do you say Uto? Really, bro?
Udo,
serious?
Budo. I don't know.
You're crossing a line, Jeffrey. Udo's too far. Udo's a goddamn
Fuck 'em.
hero.
Fuck them. Fuck them all.
Udo's a goddamn dragon person hero.
Mercenaries are shitty people, but I'm glad the dragon people are dead and out, baby. I'm glad.
Yeah,
Fuck 'em.
including the old people and children, right?
Yes, fuck them. Fuck them. Wipe out their way of life.
There's a lot to say about what we're talking
Break
about.
down that dragon to scrap metal and use it to like I don't know.
Listen,
fucking
it's
use
it's
shutters
it's not
on
a
the roof.
secret that Jeffrey is an
Listen.
American capitalistic maniac. So of course
Yeah.
he wants to tear down the dragon for its
I'm
money.
talking about the morality of it. Fuck 'em.
I'm going to stand by my answer, which is that Jeffrey is a red-blooded American capitalistic through and through, and so
Again, where does capitalism have to do with this? They are shitty people. They've been doing terrible things for a long time. Objectively terrible things. To the
well,
point where they're
actually,
like,
not objectively.
to the point where they go, oh, if we accidentally kidnap kids that are like a little bit like 10 years old, oh, they might remember too much. We gotta kill them. You don't get. There's no
Jeffrey.
arguing this. I'm sorry. There's no arguing this. Shitty
Jeffrey,
people, I'm
There's
glad
no
they're-
argument against the way the dragon people acquire new members. Definitely not.
Jeffrey, I
no.
want you to consider something.
Consider these nuts.
Every single one of those dragon people
Uh
were taken as children
yeah. And
and were raised that way.
right. And you would think that, hey man, that kind of sucked for us. Let's do it a different way. Didn't occur to none
They
of them.
don't remember, Jeffrey. That's the point.
No, they
They
do
don't remember.
They do
Exactly.
remember, they
That's
just-
exactly like you say with like Pet and Roe, like they're both after like less than half a year immediately going, oh,
Well-
we should do this. So after having lived that life for 50 years, that's exactly what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
And it isn't really
my-
anything to do with morality at that
You're
point.
mad at
Right.
traumatized children, Jeffrey. You're mad
Yeah,
at traumatized children.
It's on them to get over it. And B, first of all, if they don't remember, okay. So then where does the idea of paying somebody to kidnap kids for come from then?
Weddinor.
But I
Weddinor did
think
that.
this is a bigger thing
And
about what
only-
Joe is trying to say,
I
isn't it?
can't
Like, you know, if somebody's raised to do something awful, is that their fault?
At some point in time, there's like it's complicated, but a part of it is yes, a part of it is.
So the thing that makes it complicated is the fact that the dragon people culture are specifically very polarized to how we view morality.
But
now,
they're
I'm not
only
saying
that
it's
way
right.
because of that stupid ass mountain.
Jeffrey, I'm not saying it's right.
Uh-huh.
I'm just saying that they have a. I love that Joe's able to implement a polar opposite morality because they couldn't have children. So of course they did whatever they to be honest.
Especially because it's religious as well. They literally think that this is their God telling them to do this.
Yes.
They must
Right.
have to. They have to. Otherwise, the
one of-
world's going to win.
One other key element too is I totally agree, George, is the fact that if anybody was in the same position as them, they'd probably do something similar. Now, I'm not saying they would do what Werdener would do. Werdener, it's Werdener's fault that this all went down, as they all said. But
Right.
Uto, like if Uto was in charge, she would have been like, we need to welcome people in and exchange culture and adopt children. She would have done that. So I think
Yeah.
you're pushing too much blame on the dragon people culture on Werdener and judging everybody. Whereas Werdener is the shitty leader who led them to doom and destruction and a way of life that was too destructive that they never should have gone on.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It seems like that's been their pattern for as long as whenever, as long as they've been on that mountain in Ash rank. Because
They've been taking children the whole time.
Udo
Yes.
never said anything about, oh, we shouldn't have taken those kids. She just says, why not just let them in so we could give them gold? Werdener says, I would have told them, oh, they're here for the kids, they might have been like, all right, let's give them these kids. But Werdener just doesn't want to let go of any aspect at all.
Yeah.
End of the day, I'm glad they all dead. Well, at least these dragon people are dead, and I'm glad the rest of them are just gonna crater. And well, actually, no, they probably.
I'm
still
sure
do.
they will. I'm sure they
Yeah.
totally will just disappear into
Well,
nothing.
whatever. I'm glad Where the Nerds bitch ass is dead. Fuck him. Fuck him. Happy. Mm.
All right, what's the?
We
Like, what
hardly
are we
knew
naming-
you, and I'm happy about that.
I'm happy about that.
That's our show, everyone. We want to thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast. As you know, this is a passion project for the three of us, and your support means oh so much.
Join us next week as we cover Greed, The Tally, and Going Back.
Make sure you follow us on all of our social media or send us an email at circleoftheworldpodcast@gmail.com.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. And please make sure to rate and review us. Thank you all again for listening.
I'm scared. Are you scared?